Benji Groves,
set.
Planning and Zoning meeting to order. And now we'll get back to regular speed. All right, now. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes, we have Chair Deb Slip,
I'm present.
Chair, Vice Chair Robin Crawford,
Present.
Board Member Lawrence Carney, absent. Board Member Keith Harris,
Present.
Board Member Grace Joyce, absent. And alternate Veronica Close.
Here.
And also we have present Town Manager Mark Cutney and Office Coordinator Denise Rodriguez.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez, for your calling of the roll. Let me see, I've got to scroll down my computer here. I can figure out what that button is. Okay, I'd like to have a motion from the floor to approve the minutes of the February 9th meeting,
I'd like to make a motion to amend the minutes.
please.
On page 3 of the minutes, and I didn't have a way to confirm this, so Mark and I talked about it. On the 4th paragraph, it says board member Close explained the goal and process, and then it goes on to say she suggested recommending a limited non-residential development. I'm not clear as to exactly how that would be interpreted, so I would like to move that we strike that sentence from the minutes and just leave it, the board member Close explained the goal and process.
Okay, excuse me.
Without objection,
It's page 3.
Page 3, it's the 4th paragraph.
without objection, we'll strike that. Everybody okay? All right.
So you need a motion to approve as amended?
Motion to approve as amended.
So
Okay, Veronica motions to approve as amended. Second? Keith seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Okay, moving on. We have no old business, that's correct. And moving on to new business. Mr. Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You're sitting as the local planning agency for this item. And let me just indicate, unfortunately, you guys are stuck with me tonight. Mr. Fleischman's out of town, Mr. Cirillo had another commitment, or he would have been here to present that himself. So
Darn,
you get to deal with me.
We'll suffer through it.
This is an amendment to the ordinance, well, it was originally adopted as 1206, but it's now 21210, and it's amending 21206, which was the moratorium ordinance that was passed by Town Council on June 26, 2012. As you may remember, the moratorium was adopted relative to land use amendments. It had happened fairly close to the issue of the Day property at the corner of Folsom and Okeechobee, and Town Council felt that they wanted to have a moratorium on land use amendments until the proper planning application could occur to not only the Okeechobee corridor, but also the Southern Boulevard, taking a look at that as well. So since that ordinance was adopted, you folks looked at it the first time. It went back to 2 readings to council. Council's had a number of meetings with the staff. The direction was they've asked the town management group to go ahead and prepare the ordinance, the amendments to that will eventually be the work product as a result of the moratorium. And as of right now, this is asking that the ordinance be amended until March of 2013. Again, that's an estimate of when we believe, March 30, 2013 to be exact, that we believe we should be very close to having a work product for council's review and to go through the process. We are starting this now, though, even though it expires in November, because obviously it has to go back to council for 2 readings. So with that, I can discuss any issues or how the staff will be approaching the work item. But this is basically to extend the previous ordinance to keep the moratorium in place while we're working on work products to correct deficiencies that have been identified in the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, when would the work product that you develop come before the planning and zoning board?
I would hope probably sometime in late January, early February. What we're, under the current plan, we plan to hold a couple of workshops. First would be with the property owners along Okeechobee Boulevard. And of course, it's primarily for them, but it'll be open to the public. I would encourage, when we advertise it, if you folks are interested, I think it'd be a good thing if you could come. And then we would hold a second one with Southern Boulevard. We would act the Southern Boulevard property owners, and of course, that's interchangeable. Okeechobee folks can come to that, Southern folks can come to the Okeechobee. Again, open to the public, everybody. And what we're trying to do there is we're trying to hear from those folks that actually own property to see what their point of view is relative to planning treatment along both corridors. So that will happen in November. After that, we're in the process, we're working on it now, but then we're hoping to have, and I don't know, did you guys hear what the amendment entails? Maybe let me go through that, because I don't know, if you weren't at the council meeting, you're not aware of it, but what we talked about with town council, we proposed that the following major work activities would be necessary to accomplish the objectives of the comprehensive plan moratorium. And this is what we identified, 3 major categories. The first category would be to review the land use element of the comprehensive plan for any necessary amendments to the element text. That would include a review and amendment of the goals, objectives, and policies regarding Okeechobee Boulevard. It would be a review and amendment of the goals, objectives, and policies regarding Southern Boulevard. The second area would be a review of the following issues in concert with issue 1 that I just announced, those 2 boulevards, or those 2 corridors rather. Would be the review of floor area ratios along Okeechobee and Southern Boulevard corridors, as well as the overall town land use. Explore the expanding opportunities for expanding the opportunities for home offices and residential enterprises. Examine the potential problems and pitfalls related to the prohibition of commercial on Okeechobee Boulevard. Examine the possibility of utilizing transfer of development rights, TDR, within the Okeechobee Boulevard corridor. Explore the possibility of utilizing market force considerations for future land use decisions. Revisit parcel sizes and minimum width depth requirements related to future development along Southern Boulevard. Review existing development and approvals along both corridors and summarize the results for inclusion and the development proposals related to both corridors. Determination of appropriate locations for commercial and agricultural businesses along the corridors and the town as a whole. And in conjunction with the above, a compare-contrast review of requirements contained currently in the ULDC to ensure that no consistency problems exist. And then the third area which was added by town council, was a review of the Tangerine Citrus Boulevard issue to determine the proper treatment and policy of this issue. And that was presented to council, and council liked that program and said, go for it. So that is what we are currently looking at now as it relates to planning for, which would ultimately be an amendment or amendments to the plan pursuant to the moratorium.
Ron?
So based on the way that's worded, I'm presuming then we're going to see some commercial along Okeechobee.
I'm not saying that's the case either. I mean, what we want to do is we want to examine it. We want to make sure that if there is let's say there is a total prohibition, which is pretty hard to do, we want to make sure that legally we're okay as well. We're not going to put the town in a position where we have a number of property owners hitting the town with lawsuits because they feel the property rights were taken.
If I could ask one question there, what's the status currently of the Day lawsuit?
You know, Mr. Chairman, I do know, but I request your indulgence. I don't know how much I'd want to tell you at this point. What if we do this? Let me ask Mike. Mike's going to be here because we're going to have a meeting in November. We have a couple items. Why don't I ask Mike to give you an update, because I just don't want, for the record, to say something that could possibly hurt the town in terms of it. I can tell you we had a scheduling conference. We're moving forward. It is going to be heard, and I can tell you it's going to be heard in federal courts per the advice of our attorney, who is Michael Burke with Johnson and Selmo, law firm out of Broward County. They handle a lot of the leaks. The League has taken on the defense force in this matter. So that's...
League Cities have?
Yes, the League of Cities, as our insurance carrier. They're covering us on this case. And Mike Burke, I might know Mike, I worked with him in the past personally. He's very good litigator, very good understanding of land use issues, so I'm very confident that with him on the town side, we have a good shot here. So we're in the process of, we're going to be having, town council has declared a shade meeting on November 6th. However, the meetings, we're still trying to look at the November meeting schedule because November 6th just turns out to be election day. And there may be a lot of people at last minute voting, things like that, so we're gonna see if we can possibly move meetings around. But we do need, he does need to have a shade meeting with council to talk about the litigation. So I'll ask Mike at our next meeting, if it's okay, to kind of give you a full briefing as much as he can from a legal standpoint without hurting.
If it can be just in the form of an email, just, you know, a 10,000-foot view sort of thing.
I mean, I have a lot of documents, you know, public records, so if anybody's interested, just give me a yell, I'll be happy to share them with you.
What was the date when that meeting, so I can go look it up? I've been,
The date that I'm,
what you just read from.
yeah, that went to council twice. It actually went to them on August 7th, and it went to them again on August 21 in a revised state. So you can look up the agenda report.
Okay.
That goes with the agenda packet and has all that in there.
All right. Sure.
You had a sentence in your work product there that said, review the prohibition of commercial on, could you read that again?
Yeah, sure. Examine the potential pitfalls, problems, and pitfalls related to the prohibition of commercial on Okeechobee Boulevard.
And we're not soliciting intentionally the general input by residents?
Oh, no,
Just-
everybody,
But
the two workshops that I talked about are geared for the property owners, but everybody is invited to attend this.
But if they're geared towards the property owners, when do we hold a workshop that's geared towards the residents?
Because we hear from the residents all the time, we don't hear from the property owners. That's the reason for the workshop. I mean, we hear a lot of comments from the residents. So it's a workshop for the property owners, but the residents can come too. I mean, it's not like they're gonna be on the sidelines and they can't talk.
So we're trying to get the.
We're trying to get input from everybody. We're trying to exhaust the whole population to make sure that we know how people feel.
And who is the entity that is going to be spearheading this workshop? The entity that's holding it and moderating it?
Mr. Fleischman, myself, staff,
Venue,
probably here.
big enough?
I think so. We have, you can set up a lot of chairs in here, we don't need a lot of, I mean, we had, actually, the venue worked for the joint meeting between the Board of Trustees and the Town Council. What didn't work was, we had standing room only, and if we had rented a few more chairs, we would have been in better shape. In fact, the Chamber's been talking about getting more chairs too. We're holding the workshop on the 16th here with the Town Council and the Water Control District relative to those issues. You can set this up in a way where you can have a lot of chairs. You can probably get, I think we've had somewhere between 50 and 75 people on these. Now, I mean, I suppose I could go to a larger venue, but I have no way of knowing how many people are going to show up for a workshop. You hope you have a good turnout, but who knows?
Yeah, as long as, okay.
Well, we can learn, if the first one, if we have a problem in here, and it looks like we're gonna need a bigger venue, then we can do the second workshop at a larger venue, like maybe the Presbyterian Church or
The school.
the school.
Elementary
But you
school.
gotta jump through a lot of hoops at the school, it's a lot of prep, they have to approve insurance and all this. It's, so you really have to, you spend a lot of time trying to work those details out.
Are we gonna videotape it or are we gonna record it?
We'll probably videotape it and record it. We usually do both to make sure we have a backup just in case. One time we had a failure with that. And we actually had the ultimate failure. We had a failure of the video, and then there were no batteries. We didn't realize our batteries were dead in the audio. And actually, Ron Buckley saved us because he had an audio version, and so I was able to get that out from him. So,
Okay.
yep.
Do you have any more comments, Ron? Robin? Keith?
Has there been any activity of interested parties, developers, property owners, for wanting to apply for amendments and being restricted by the moratorium that's currently in place? Not
so far. There is a property on Southern that apparently isn't land used. there could be a problem with that. I actually have to talk to Mike about that. It was the city-initiated administrative rezoning that you saw on the railroad property. There was a piece, I guess, historically, when the curve on C Road there, I guess there's a part of this property actually doesn't have a zoning or a land use designation. And the way to handle that, obviously, you need to go for a land use designation on it and then ultimately rezone it. Well, obviously, if we can't do land use amendments, that could be a problem. So I have to talk to Mike and see if there's any way we could address that, maybe under the auspices again of a city-initiated petition rather than
Yeah.
a private property owner.
Just
I think if we hold it that way, and it's like, I don't think, we're not precluded either. I mean, we're doing another amendment relative to the capital improvements element because we had basically no guidance in there in terms of a capital improvements plan as it relates to transportation, gas tax, and these kinds of things. And so, you know, and Mike's opinion was that, well, that's the town working on its own comprehensive plan. So that's not something, I mean, this was geared toward what you actually asked, is people who have land and want to come in and try to do a land use plan now for
Yeah.
purposes of development or whatever.
If it's a text amendment, you know,
Yeah.
town initiated, it should be all right.
You know, I can appreciate having a strong foundation in the development and the future of this town. But we also need to make sure we're not just arbitrarily delaying or deferring property owners' rights. And that's why I was concerned about if there's been individuals that are actively wanting to pursue this. You did say moratorium for 6 months, and I don't have a problem going another 6 months as long as you're not just making the wheels spin. We need to get productivity.
Right, and proof of the pudding there is, I totally agree with you, you know, we need to show progress. I think it's incumbent upon us to show progress. I think if we didn't, then that would look bad. It would look like you're throwing a moratorium out there just to have a moratorium.
Yes, we don't need to look like Wilmington Town Council.
So that's why you want to make progress and you want to show you're making progress. Now, we're at the point in March where we're in the process, but it's not totally done. See, I don't think that's an issue. I think you can extend it over time just to get the process done. But
Yeah. I think we're taking, you know, the steps appropriately.
No further questions.
All right, I have nothing for you, Mark. Everything looks like it's in order. I see that we already have the 11th that we passed this on. Is there any other questions? We have an entertained motion on this resolution.
I'll make a motion to put this motion in place for extension of the moratorium.
All right, we have Keith moving, and we have a second.
Second.
We have a second from Vice Chair Robin Crawford. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. So the motion is approved unanimously.
thank you very much.
Is there any more on this agenda? Apparently not. We have this, no, we don't sign this. The only thing I need to sign tonight would be the minutes, I guess. That's about it. Okay, without further ado, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Okay, who moves for adjournment?
I move.
You don't have to go to adjourn minutes. You don't really don't. There's no need in parliamentary and Robert's Rules of Order.
Just to say the chairman.
The chair.
Chairman adjourned the meeting
Yeah.
over objections before.
Yeah, that'd be, some of the members said, I don't want you.
It was the chair's opinion that he won.
We want to stay here another half hour.
No, I've got to go to one event.
You gonna miss the debate?
Huh?
You gonna watch the debate or miss it?
This is a Melanie Peterson.